Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Pillars of Eternity 2. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're chose to join me today. That barrel over there really wants my attention for some reason. Look at this one does not. What is that all about? Let's say hi to the barrel. Of course the barrel doesn't have anything for us, it's just staying there. I don't know, pressing tab? Anyway, we are here in Sayuka, and we're exploring the whole place because this is a very interesting, area. Certainly, I think the first direct confrontation in a map between the Hoana and the Rawatai Empire. I was thinking off camera, I was thinking about last episode in particular, and I was looking further into possible inspirations, I would say. Maybe inspiration might not be the name. Subtext? I suppose subtext works for what...
Hasanui demanded additional cannons. We must oblige her.
We cannot spare the weight. Already the ballast is overtaxed.
Increase the size of the ballast then.
And store it where? Then we must increase the size of the ship.
Take your concerns to the Valian. This mess is her responsibility now.
The Valian here. A specific person who is Valian. Iferra, most likely. Yeah, I was looking into what we heard about the Hoana and how the Hoana are being depicted in this game, or how they are. I say being depicted, but just because we haven't seen this facet of them, or a facet of them than we saw last episode, which is more to do with the casts. We haven't seen it very much up until now. Certainly not challenged, and I'm wondering what that is all gonna be like, because I have opinions. But I feel I might be jumping to conclusions. So let's have a chat with Vera.
Ak, so much to do, so few hours in the day.
Come on, you have a name.
Keep it down.
Shh. Okay.
Interesting.
Ooh. Oh, it's not even stealable. I mean, what is that? A lightning bomb. I don't need that. What is this, a big shoe? Whatever hides beneath this tarp reeks of brass polish and machine oil. Brass polish. I don't know.
Oh, worry not. No need to think.
How you polish brass. And we have ourselves a Royal Deadfire company call. What? Adair has been caught stealing. What does that mean? Well, let's find out.
Ak, so much to do, so few hours in the day.
I don't know what that's gonna do. I'm thinking...
No need to ask twice.
He just didn't do it?
I can be quiet if you can.
No, he did it. He absolutely did it. Also, I honestly thought it was gonna be him, but... That was, anyway, let's find out.
Stay out of the way.
Okay, so these guys don't have anything to say. Now stack poetry and got some food. And, yeah, nothing here. I assume we need to come here if we have missions or something. We do have a mission here in Sayuka, I'm pretty sure. Let's look. It's a bounty. No, it's not. Wait, let me look at the map. Sayuka, right, okay, journal. Sayuka. Interesting. South of Sayuka. Also, I need to bring... Yeah, I need to bring him in here.
So the pirates took us for merchants and fell right into our trap.
That sure sounds dangerous and fun as hell. The first time Uncle Angbert trained me with a lantern, I set a whole row of merkberry stalks on fire.
You didn't.
I did. The whole house came running and hollering. You should have seen my grandma beating at the stalks with a shovel. Of course, she came after me next.
Not so much grows in Rawatai. With a little luck, I'll have a farm story of my own someday.
That's the shorty. Anyway, what I'm gonna do, and I'm not really sure. 3 minutes to exit the city. I'm not really sure how to do that because we'd need a shop around here, at least a shop, but most likely a tavern, place to sleep so we can manage our party, unless I'm really confused about how that works. So I'm gonna dismiss you. and I'm gonna bring Seraphim. And what? Why? Why? Just why? Okay, whatever. So back into, is there more than one location? Not as far as I can tell. And we have the workshop. Let's go over there. No, actually, I think that's... Yeah, that's that over there. So I need to be at the entrance, because we're going to the trade house. And specifically having Seraphim over here is going to be important. And somebody else, somebody told me in the comments as well for something else. Something else, and I'll need to check that. So, to just make sure everything is good. And he needs to level up. He's gonna be fine. He doesn't need to level up. He's good. I'm not gonna fight. Or at least I hope I'm not gonna fight. But the four of us are gonna be able to sustain the fight if need be. These books' spines are cracked and their pages much dog-eared. Don't do that. Use little thingies. I guess dog-earing happens to books just through normal use. These papers are covered with figures, snippets of poetry, and letters to home.
My fingers be fat and furry, but they're ever so nimble.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to succeed on that.
Cap? Swapped in spark.
Oh yeah. And we have ourselves a superb arquebus. Arquebus might be the correct way of saying it. Anyway, let's have a chat with the Fleet Master. Probably not gonna happen, or not. Ooh. Fleet Master Okaya stares with unwavering intensity at the small sea of papers strewn across her desk. She holds a pencil lightly in one hand and absently taps the tip of it against her lips. After a moment, a low hum escapes her throat. The sound ends with a harsh scoff, and then she flicks her eyes to meet yours.
Artillery trajectory calculations. Terribly tedious and lamentably imprecise in a storm.
As she chews on the end of her pencil, her gaze grows distant, like she's watching something behind you.
Ah, but the numbers distract me. Where are my manners? You must be the watcher the Hazanui sent. You found me with a rare spare moment.
Yeah, yeah. Who are you?
Did you not read the name on the door before you came in? You do know you're in the office of the Fleet Master, I hope.
Well, I meant, who are you in, the general sense, sort of, question you ask an NPC?
Ah, you meant to ask why I'm important enough to have my name on a door. I'm a Fleet Master of the Rawatayan Navy stationed at Sayuka, a research colony of the Royal Deadfire Company.
What fleet? I don't see any boats.
You misunderstand. I don't command ships. I command this port. Rawatayan vessels docking here are under my protection, but I don't tell them where to go. That's the Hazanui's job.
That's quite interesting. The Fleet Master is like the Port Master, I suppose. I mean, the distinction is... Yeah, it is interesting. Like, the Admiral is not the Fleet Master. Fleet Master is an impressive title, though. That is... Heck yeah. I mean, we're not in a setting like Warhammer 40k or anything like that, but I don't think there are fleet masters in Warhammer 40k, but that's the kind of fleet you want. Just enormous spaceships the size of gigantic cathedrals. They're bigger. Yeah.
To one unfamiliar with the Rawatayan Navy, perhaps. But mine is an administrative position.
But the name is what counts, don't you know? That's what matters. It doesn't matter what you do, it's just the name.
I see to the smooth running of Sayuka. Of course, it'd be a sight easier if there weren't the coral to contend with.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not really sure. I think that might be our mission over here. She nods and looks briefly at her desk, distracted by a table of figures. I suppose that would be numbers. As she reads, she twirls her pencil between her fingers, stopping briefly to take a few brief notes. I thought she was going to take a little nibble. She appears to have forgotten you entirely. Yeah, Hasanui Kado asked me to deliver some cargo to you.
I've received a report from the dockmaster stating as much. The Royal Deadfire Company appreciates your swift delivery of our cargo.
Yeah, your smuggler tried to extort me.
Ah, that's unfortunate. Though not entirely unexpected.
She unlocks a drawer in the desk and takes out a large coin purse. Silently, she slides it across the desktop to you.
I've received a report from the dockmaster stating as much. The Royal Deadfire Company appreciates your swift delivery of our cargo.
A cheery smile brightens her otherwise serious features. Yeah, the Asanui didn't say I'd be ferrying human cargo, though.
Why would she? You're a courier.
She stares at you in genuine bewilderment.
In any event,
she thoughtfully taps her pencil against the edge of her desk.
The Hazanui's missive suggested you might be able to help us with an issue at port.
Go ahead.
You may have noticed the outsized coral in the harbor.
She gestures to the docks just beyond her office door. Uh-huh.
There's something unnatural about the coral's growth. About everything on this island. And no matter how we trim it back, it only grows larger. My engineers deduced that the origin of this disturbance is somewhere off the coast of Sayuka, and I'd like you to investigate. Talk to Avera in the workshop if you care to learn more. I would be grateful for your help here, Watcher.
She gives you a sharp little nod, punctuated by the crack of her pencil against the desk, then returns to her work. Yeah, I wanted to ask you something about, something.
Well?
What does the Royal Deadfire Company hope to achieve in the archipelago?
How much do you know of Rawatai, Watcher?
I have studied its history. Actually, we should probably, because that's a lore check, let's see. I mean, we did get this information, a little bit of this information in the first game with Kana. Although not in the Let's Play that I did, only in the playthrough, the Twitch playthrough. So if you want to see anything featuring me with that footage, that would be where to look. Or, of course, you could play the game yourself, which you should, because it's an amazing game, the first game. And this one is better, I feel. But anyway, the powerful naval kingdom of Rawatai is dominated by coastal Aumaua and ruled by Oranga Nui. Currently the most prosperous of the old empires, Rawatai has expanded aggressively into the Deadfire archipelago to secure natural resources that are scarce in their native storm-torn land. Though folk, dwarves, and Orlan can be found in Rawatai. Folk would be, I think, elves and humans, both. Most are merchants or remnants of the old kingdoms Rawatai conquered when they seized power centuries ago. And that's why I was confused, and I thought they were... can be found in Rawatai. Yeah, that's why I was confused, and I thought the Rawatai was just a multicultured... Well, I guess culture is not the word. Multiracial, that's the proper expression. And the proper situation, actually. But a multiracial sort of tapestry. But apparently they're mostly Aumaua. Or at least it could be that they are racially segregated as well, and that they do have a multiracial people. It's just that only the Aumaua end up being seafarers. But anyway, legends say that the Rawataians came to their lands from the Deadfire archipelago in the wake of a terrible cataclysm, but the details of that event have been lost to time and the imagination of storytellers. And also, last episode, this is kind of funny that we are looking at this, because last episode, there was a line, I don't know if I said it or if I heard it or if I just read it and it was a possible line of mine, where the Huana and the Rawatai were mentioned as having common ancestry. And I figured that would be just because they're all Aumaua, which technically, I don't know how I guess in a fictional, in a fantasy setting, you can absolutely have people of the same races, of the same race anyway, but not having a common ancestry, because the whole logic of evolution and common ancestors and all that sort of stuff doesn't apply to fantasy. Because it makes no sense if it does. Once you start thinking about that, why are elves a different race than humans? How does that happen? How would you have evolution be so close together? It doesn't work quite like that. And I could go on a huge diatribe about that, and just talk about how and what significance that has, and why that is, and how it applies, and how you should look at fiction with multiple races like these and all that sort of stuff. And it all makes sense. And it's not a criticism. I mean, I guess in the sense that, it's just I'm thinking about it critically. It is criticism, but in the sense of, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You don't need to apply theory of evolution to fiction, is what I'm saying. So maybe here, despite what I initially thought about that line, about the Rawatai and the Huana having the same ancestors, maybe that's more to do with their literal ancestors and their previous cultures, and less to do with the fact that they are of the same race. Maybe. I don't know. But I've studied its history, so yeah, there it is.
So you have a scholarly understanding. That's not worth nothing.
the way you said it, the first sentence, I thought she was gonna say that's not worth anything. But no, she's saying the opposite of that.
You'll find we appreciate the spirit of inquiry in Sayuka, and in Rawatai.
She dips her head to you in quiet acknowledgement.
Well, I don't need to tell you that Rawatai is a stern mother, tempestuous and inhospitable.
We also learned that in this game, I don't remember if that was said. I'm pretty sure it was not said, so this might be either retconned or just it doesn't contradict what was said in the first game. But I'm pretty sure this was not an aspect of Rawatai in the first game. It's just added now so that we, it's just fleshing it out.
We have to trade for much of what we need, and the Huana have proven to be valuable partners. The Deadfire is markedly more comfortable than Rawatai. The archipelago is also an excellent place from which to study the storms of Andra's mortar.
She gestures broadly at the spyglass on her desk. Huh. You'll notice that she's answering my question about her motivations. Or their motivations, anyway. Yeah. But she's not actually directly answering it. So it makes me think that at least she perceives the Rawatai and Empire as wanting to invade, because that's what she's kind of hinting at. Let's see, what does the Royal Deadfire Company hope to achieve in the archipelago? That's what I said already, but so I suppose maybe not the that wasn't a question about the Rawatai and Empire. That was specifically of the Royal Deadfire Company, so that's a different thing. Yeah, but then again, she also says this about Andra's mortar, which is the whole thing that's making their place inhospitable, and has always made their place inhospitable. Why are you here in particular?
Do you ask how I came to my position, or why I pursued it to begin with?
How does someone become a fleet master?
With a question like that, I might mistake you for a starry-eyed recruit.
I know. I didn't understand why that question was there, and I felt like I should just click it.
There's no secret to it. Just hard work, determination, a good deal of luck, and the right connections. A bit of ruthlessness can take the place of any one of those things, provided it's judiciously applied.
Same as always, I guess. What drew you to your work?
No one's ever asked me that.
She blinks.
I suppose I've always had a persistent interest in engineering. Even as a child, I was dismantling my mother's guns just to see how they worked. Then I met Karoo. Hazanui Karoo. She encouraged me to take my skills to the Navy. So I did, even though I had no obligation to as the youngest of my siblings.
If I remember correctly, Karoo, she said canoe, I'm pretty sure. So maybe the voice actress was just misreading the line that she had in front of her. I think she said canoe, but I might be mistaken now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think she is not here. She's in Nekataka. She's the admiral, the main boss. Anyway.
We nurture our keen minds in Rawatai, you see. We don't let them piddle away their brilliance on frivolities. The bright and willing are supported, mentored, respected.
Well, Hazanui Karoo told me you were one of the brightest minds in Rawatai.
Is that... Did she really say that?
A deep blush colors Okaya's face, giving her skin a gentle purple hue.
Pardon me, I wasn't expecting.
She loudly clears her throat and looks away. Well, I guess I can't. That's all. I can ask you.
No one's ever asked, I suppose. Then I did.
Go back to there.
The bright and willing are supported, mentored,
and I can say I see.
Respected.
Which is interesting. This can happen, but it rarely does. What you're seeing right now. Yeah, that's all.
Very well.
So, what's your take on the Royal Deadfire Company's relationship with the Huana here?
That's a weighty question.
Not weighted, weighty, which is the word, another word for that would be harrowing, I suppose, maybe? Or acute? Not acute, what's the word? There's another word for that, like perceptive, but not necessarily. Not perceptive, but anyway, it's not weighted. It's not like I'm trying to trick her. I don't see why it should be. Oh boy. I would reveal not knowing much about this. I could shrug though, but I'm gonna say, yeah, that's why I asked it. She snorts through her nose, her gaze falls to the pencil in her hand, which she begins to tap thoughtfully along the edge of her desk.
It's a reasonable inquiry, I suppose. The Juana are pliant enough and willing to work hard when properly motivated. We have as much right to this land as they do. If they plan to do nothing with it, it's our duty to steward it for them.
And it's their duty to recognize a good deal when they see it. Next one won't be as generous.
Bear in mind here that Maya is from Rauatai, although, since we were talking about parallels before, this is painting the Rauatai as a very, very different thing, or at least specifically the Royal Deadfire Company as a very different thing than what it was being painted. Her character takes it on a very different light. Takes the whole situation as on a very different light, which I don't know to what extent this game tries to play the whole different characters have different perspectives on their very own faction, because in reality, the fact that she sees this, so for one thing, this is a very and I started saying this precisely because of historical parallels, this is a very colonialist and very racist attitude in general. Pliant enough and willing to work hard when properly motivated. Like that line over there. Where else have you heard of this already, right? But on this specific one over here is where the colonialism kind of comes in. Now I don't know though. The problem is, it's tricky to tell the forest for the trees in a way, because I don't know if she's supposed to represent, or if her way of thinking is supposed to represent the way of thinking of the whole Rauatai, or Royal Deadfire Company anyway. It's tricky. It's really tricky to understand, to have a clear picture. And I like it. It's just because it's a role-playing game, we're gonna need to make choices. On the one hand, not having a full picture and just having all these patches of different perspectives from the same faction makes it harder for you to foresee the consequences for your options, which makes your options, or your choices anyway, be more... You need to think more deliberately about them. But on the other hand, it also takes away from that, because it sort of takes away from your responsibility as the player. I guess maybe I feel that a little bit more, or I feel the nuances there a little bit more because I'm doing a Let's Play. If I were playing by myself, I wouldn't really... I don't care as much about my choices when I play by myself, because it's more of a challenge, it's more of a, let's find out what happens if you say this. So I roleplay more when I do a Let's Play. So I feel more attached to my choices. I feel more responsibility with my choices, because it's more of a canon thing. It's one Let's Play that I do, rarely more than one, although sometimes I do. But you know what I mean? So it's gonna be there. Those are gonna be my choices. This video is gonna be here, you know what I mean? But that's why I'm saying this sort of takes away from my responsibility. Me as a person who can't see the obvious a lot of times, and certainly in the first game, and yeah, in this game as well, I think I can shrug and can be like, yeah, I can see it coming. I don't know if these guys are just here to kill them all, enslave them, usurp their lands. So far, it looks like that's the case. And I'm leaning more and more towards that, but if it comes to a point where I absolutely have to judge them for that, and if Maya, specifically now here, if Maya tells me, no, that's not what Rauatai is, I'm gonna lean on her and I'm gonna say, okay, I believe her, because I can shrug and do away with the responsibility, precisely because it is so hazy, which is kind of funny, because it's a duality of effects of the very same thing. On the one hand, it makes it harder, and the other one, it makes it easier. So yeah, it's on to me, I guess. So some of your Juana seem unhappy. That's one way of phrasing it.
They'll adjust in time. Besides, it could be worse.
It could be worse. When have we heard that before as well? She looks at her desk, her mind quickly gone somewhere else. After a long silence, she hurriedly scribbles a note in the margin of one of her reports. After a long silence, how would you feel if someone did the same to Rauatai? I guess that's one way of looking at it. Better you than the Valians, is that it? Yeah, that's another issue as well. Like, I think when I was saying, like, what I said before, it's not a critique at all. It's not. Oh, I guess it is a critique. It's just not a criticism of the writing at all. It is good. It is amazing that the writing has this, because that tapestry of opinions and that vagueness is fantastic. That's lovely, because you can have multiple interpretations and you can build on things. You can have all these theories, and then they either come together at the end or later on as you play, or they just, you know, get disproven and all about these theories. I love that, and especially because the painting that the picture that he paints is precisely of the Juana being besieged by two very different but still similar in some ways cultures, which are the Valian Republics and the Rauataian Empire. So better than the Valens. Let's go with that, because I think that's more accurate. Not accurate, I guess, but anyway.
Of course. The Juana and Rauataians share a common interest and a common ancestor.
She raises an eyebrow, confounded by your obvious question. Again, like she's being honest. I never thought that she wasn't. So yeah, she's confounded. Like, this is showing that she's confounded. But more importantly, he or she explains that line that I sort of had a problem with, and her take is not, like, objectively speaking, it doesn't excuse it. Like, it doesn't. Like, they are different country, they're people with completely different cultures, and no, you don't have as much right as they do. And if you want to draw historical comparisons, there's plenty of that as well. People being like, countries being like, oh, I see that 300 years ago our ancestors came from there. Well, let's invade because it's our lands as well. You see that all over the place. So it's basically the same thing. There's no excuse whatsoever. But at least it does show that she has less of a sort of it's not your land, shut up. It's everybody's land. It's not that sort of. Sometimes some people will think like that, and you'll see some countries just like, if we're talking about historical parallels, you'd be like, it's just invade because, you know, it's might is right and all that sort of stuff. But no, at least she has an historical and most likely accurate, correct, I should say, historically correct understanding of the history behind the Juana and the Rauataian. So that is her attitude, which I think makes her testimony a little bit more defendable, I guess. It's not defendable because she's objectively wrong, but at least it doesn't paint her as objectively wrong. She's just as misguided, I guess.
The Valians don't care about the Deadfire, really. They'll strip mine the archipelago of luminous Audra, then abandon it for the next shiny bauble that catches their eye. They're like magpies in that way. Magpies in silly hats.
Do you miss Rauatai?
Every day. The wild coasts. The merciless winds. Their lack is like a missing limb.
She looks away a moment, embarrassed by her forthright confession.
Rauatai will always be there. And the work we do here, that's what matters now.
Okay, never mind.
Very well.
Farewell. And, well, we have level ups already. Okay, well, we have our mission, and we have the end of our episode as well. So, for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Pillars of Eternity 2. I really hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.